Hello and welcome. This is Hands on Health, the podcast all about living your healthiest life on the coast. I'm Austin Miller.
And I'm Alyssa Evans. Today we're joined by CMH's Cardiac and Pulmonary Rehab team. Everyone, thanks for joining us today. To start, would you mind introducing yourself and sharing how long you've worked at CMH and what your job title is?
Hi, my name's Destiny, and I'm an exercise physiologist, and I'll be at CMH for 2 years this May in a couple months.
My name is Anne. I'm a respiratory therapist, and I've been with CMH almost 4 years.
And I'm Tiffany. I'm an exercise physiologist, and I've been at CMH for 6 years.
I'm Vann. I'm a registered dietitian, and I've been at CMH for almost 10 years.
Would you guys mind telling us what cardiac and pulmonary rehab is for those who don't know?
So it's a supervised, monitored exercise program for people with heart and lung conditions, and they come in, they exercise with us, we watch them, we monitor their vitals, encourage them, motivate them, and teach them they can exercise safely and how to do that, how to push themselves.
We also like to include a lot of lifestyle modifications.
What kind of lifestyle modifications are we looking at here?
Say, for instance, if a patient is a smoker, we'll refer them to our tobacco cessation specialist or to a dietitian if they have diabetes. We'll try to get them to learn how to control their diabetes with proper diet. What are some other?
They also get education classes every week, so on stress and emotions, managing high blood pressure, managing their condition specifically, infection prevention. Yeah, they meet with the dietitians once a week. So it's really dependent on exactly what they're there for. We try to make the education relevant to their condition.
So we're a multidisciplinary team as well. So we work with the doctor or the patient's providers, reach out to them if they need to update their medications or if we're having symptoms. And then we also kind of take a holistic approach by, again, focusing on stress management, and the chaplain comes in and what else did you just say, Anne?
Pharmacist.
The pharmacist. We work with the pharmacist. They come down every quarter to go over the patient's individual medications.
I do have one more follow-up question. How would a patient end up needing your guys' services and ending up in cardiac or pulmonary rehab? What kind of conditions would get them referred to you?
Well, on the cardiac side, our patients have to have a diagnosis of heart failure or a heart attack, have a CABG, so coronary bypass surgery, or a stent. And then on the pulmonary side.
Okay, so for the pulmonary patients, something like COPD, or there's different types of interstitial lung disease, so pulmonary fibrosis, sarcoidosis, pulmonary hypertension, asthma. So those are all things that once you're diagnosed with those, your doctor should refer you to pulmonary rehab. So I guess if there's anyone listening to this and you have any of the things we just mentioned and your doctor has not referred you to cardiac or pulmonary rehab, you should ask them if you're eligible, because it's really wonderful and really good for your health. And sometimes just things slip through the cracks, and you might get referred and there's an insurance snag, but you should ask your doctor if you're eligible and attend a program in your area.
Another relatively new diagnosis would be a COVID long haul. They also qualify to come through pulmonary rehab, and we're really starting to see a lot of them.
And one other diagnosis is peripheral arterial disease. So that is covered as well. So if you have any, I'm not going to get into claudication. Let's just leave it there. Great.
Well, I think that's really encompassing, and there's a lot of different qualifications and different aspects of that of your department that I didn't realize personally. So I think that's really interesting. Would you each mind talking about what interested you in working in this field originally?
Okay, so I was getting my bachelor's degree in kinesiology, and everyone around me was going to physical therapy or occupational therapy school, and I was like, I really don't want to do that. And one of my professors introduced me to cardiac rehab, and I had never heard of that. At this point, I hadn't even heard of pulmonary rehab yet, but she just told me, I need to go get a master's degree. There's some certifications that you can get to help you be more knowledgeable in the work field, and the idea of working with someone who had a heart condition really just kind of, it tugged at my heart, I guess, for lack of a better word, but it just sounded really meaningful to help someone that who could benefit so much in such a short amount of time for exercise, and that it could literally help their heart and lungs work better in their body. So it just kind of fell into my lap.
So I was always interested in exercise, and I started personal training school for my own interest and realized I really enjoyed that topic. So it led me into working in this field. And like Destiny said, while I was getting my master's degree, I was introduced to cardiac rehab. So I went and completed an internship and really enjoyed working with the patients and helping them learn exercise. A lot of our patients know nothing about exercise, so I enjoyed teaching them. And then on the cardiac rehab side, it was just, and pulmonary, making the lifestyle behavior changes and kind of introducing the patients to different ways on how to make these changes. A lot of our patients don't know about healthy diets and stress management tools, so it's really enjoyable to see them make these changes and have positive results.
I'll just add in that honestly, the idea, how it was presented to me, I was kind of just thinking this population can be very sick. And so when I was learning exercise and how to help people with it, it just seemed so meaningful to help this group versus helping, someone who's relatively fit and training someone. And that way, it's just a completely different population of people who benefit from the exercise in a different way than someone who doesn't have these conditions. And so, yeah.
I decided to get into pulmonary rehab after working the inpatient side for almost 15 years, and I just got incredibly burned out. So I wanted to get on the outpatient side, and I also wanted to be more of a cheerleader for pulmonary rehab. Cardiac rehab seems to be highly referred, more so referred. Pulmonary rehab kind of gets forgotten a little bit, so it was important for me to really become a cheerleader for pulmonary rehab referrals.
As a registered dietitian, I feel like cardiac rehab is like one of the best places to be because you have a very motivated population in there that can all really benefit from all the things that we have to say in my profession. And we tend to see a lot of people that aren't very motivated as registered dietitians. So it's just a really fun place to work, and these guys are all just really fun.
We don't have to go too in-depth on this question, I guess, but what brought you all to the Oregon coast?
Well, actually, this job did. So I was doing my internship in Wisconsin, and I knew I wanted to live in the Pacific Northwest. So I was fortunate enough to find this job opening in Astoria at CMH.
This job specifically brought me here. I was getting my master's degree in 2020, and so I knew I wanted to work in cardiac rehab, and then all of the cardiac rehabs closed. And then, so finally a year later when they started opening back up, I came here for my interview, and I was wooed by my coworkers. I had a great interview and a great time with the patients. So then they offered me the job, and here I came, also from California.
Well, I was living in Montana, and I had 3 states that I was looking at, just kind of a change of scenery. And this job popped up in Astoria, and I was like, that's where the Goonies was filmed. So I ended up applying. I read about the hospital, and I applied. And the first response that I got was an email from Eric Thorson talking about how important nutrition was at this hospital as a Plane Tree hospital. And they had my hook, line, and sinker at that point.
So I am California born and raised, and made the difficult decision to leave California in 2019 after we got burned out by the campfire. So we decided to move to an area that is less wildfire prone. So here we are.
Well, it's neat to hear where you're all from. I'm from Washington, and Austin actually moved from Utah before this, so it's kind of fun to see where everyone moved from. Would each of you mind sharing what maybe like a typical day looks like for each of you in your different roles?
So we have different scheduled classes throughout the day. On a patient's first day with us, they go through a whole 1.5 to 2 hour intake appointment where we go over their medical history and we really plan the exercise program for them. We just introduce them to the gym space, and after that they come for a regularly scheduled class time. So we have about 5 classes throughout the day where patients are coming in. They spend about an hour with us, and we, again, watch them exercise, monitored. On some days, we strength train with the patient, so we teach them proper form, and we do like a training style exercise with them where we go through strength training exercises with them. Some days we do guided meditations with them at the end of their class time, and at some point throughout the week they get an education class. We have lots of paperwork that gets done all throughout the week, treatment plans, sending referrals, not referrals, but sending paperwork to the doctors, letting them know that their patient, we got their referral and they're now in and have started the program. So yeah, that's what a typical day looks like. Paperwork, exercise, and laughing, chatting with the patients, motivating them.
Trying to figure out what type of music we want to listen to. I mean, that is really like
Yeah,
a
It changes
question
everything. Yeah.
multiple times throughout the day. So
Yeah.
Can I say something else?
yeah.
I'd also like to add that when I came up for my interview, one of my questions was, is the area big enough to support a program that can employ, 4 to 5 people full time, just because it's so small? And we do stay incredibly busy. We have a lot of referrals.
We have people coming from all the way down at Rockaway Beach, and maybe even further, and then from Ocean Park up in Washington. So they'll drive over an hour to get here. So
How many patients do we see like throughout the day, guys? Like
20 to 30.
Today we had 33 today.
I was going to say it's up to like 36 or 40 sometimes.
It's busy.
And you guys work directly with the patients, helping them, teaching them the exercises, monitoring them as they're doing that, correct?
Monitoring their heart rate, their heart rhythm, yes, their oxygen levels.
Blood pressure. Looking for any symptoms.
Rate of perceived exertion.
Yes, on the Borg RPE scale. Blood sugar. We test their blood sugar before and after exercise. We watch their form to make sure they have good form while they're exercising. Yeah. We also record their calories, or METs, their metabolic equivalent. So we record that every session that they're in. Our goal is to make sure that they're progressing in time and intensity the whole time that they're here, which is about 36 sessions total. And most of them come about 3 days a week. So they're with us for about 3 to 4 months.
Do you have suggestions for how potential patients could work on their physical health outside of the classes and appointments with you?
Well, I'm going to start with the internet. There is so many free resources online that our patients, I don't think they're comfortable maybe using the internet. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of resources online, a lot of videos on YouTube, for instance, that we regularly recommend to our patients. We tell them or we provide them links to exercise specialists online. I don't know what you call them, influencers. And they can do the same exercises at home and follow along.
Probably biggest thing is to exercise outside of the program, because yeah, exactly what Tiffany's saying. You can go online, but also you can just go outside and exercise. You can exercise at your home, doing body weight exercises, resistance bands. I think people just need to know that when you just go for a walk, a lot of people just think going for a walk is exercise now, and you have to push yourself. Like the walk, if that's your exercise, has to feel hard. You have to be breathing heavy. You should be sweating. Your blood pressure and heart rate should increase. Even if someone's not in cardiac or pulmonary rehab, as an exercise physiologist, just keep moving. When we stop moving, we get unhealthy. And, the registered dietitians work with the patients, but a very general thing is just a Mediterranean diet is what we recommend for pretty much everyone. A diet that is rich in fruits and vegetables and whole grains, nuts and seeds, and to focus on eating less red meats, eating lean meats, eating seafood a couple times a week. So overall diet and exercise. And as Tiffany said, there is a ton of free resources now. So
that is another thing we started focusing on since COVID happened. We had that phase 3 program where a lot of our patients came and exercised and used the gym independently, and then COVID happened and we shut down, unfortunately, and had to end that program. And we saw patients really decline in their health because they weren't exercising and they didn't know what to do at home. So that's been our really big push since COVID, was teaching the patients what they can do at home without equipment, using the internet. We really teach them body weight exercises, introduce them to resistance bands, using dumbbells, introduce them to local gyms. We get them comfortable with our equipment so they're not so scared going to a local gym.
If you don't have weights, you can pick up cans in your, kitchen cabinet. Like, find something heavy in your house that you can pick up relatively safely and use that for your weight. So if you can't afford home equipment, then, find things at your house that you can use.
And you really don't need any fancy equipment or even internet. This is Astoria, folks. Get outside and walk. Head up 7th Street. You're going to get a really good exercise in just by doing that.
We did have a patient who made his own pulley system with milk jugs, and he added weight to them, and he had 3 attachment points in his gym. And then so he had the gallon jugs marked for 5 pounds, 10 pounds. He weighed them on a scale, and he created his own gym system at home.
That's really neat, actually. That's got to be very rewarding to have patients get so invested in their own health that they start going above and beyond at home, trying to keep that up. Is there any standout experiences? Maybe that's probably one right there. But any other standout experiences that your team or you as individuals have had that you'd like to share?
My biggest standout experience is just the confidence that people gain. People that come in using a walker or a cane that leave the program without them, and you even see a change in their posture because their confidence changes so much. They start out with a little bit of fear and some insecurities about exercising, and then the way they leave 36 sessions later is pretty amazing.
Well, if you didn't know, it's Heart Month, which is probably why we're on the podcast. So it was Cardiac Rehab Week this week, which is nationally celebrated, and we had a lot of local businesses in the community donate gifts that we were able to give to our patients. And so that was pretty standout this week. It was great to give out a bunch of free things, gift cards for groceries and gym passes, yoga studio passes. And next month is Pulmonary Rehab Week in March. So those have been great experiences since I've been here employed at CMH, and they're really fun. We dress up. Some of our patients get really into it and dress up with us. We had some patients wearing tie-dye this week, wearing crazy socks. Everyone wore red on one day of the week, and that's been really fun, and it's nice to have them come in and be excited about something. They're excited to come in, even if they're not excited for the exercise. They are happy to come and see us and do something out of their normal day-to-day experience.
I think my favorite part of working here in the standout experience is when patients actually continue to exercise after they complete the program. That's another kind of focus, is to figure out how to get them to continue on exercising and have the motivation and accountability. And last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, we have a lot of patients, old patients, that stop in to say hi. And I hadn't seen this one patient in 4 years, and he graduated the program 4 years ago. And he came in 2 weeks ago, and he weighed even less than he did when he graduated the program, and he's exercising even harder than he did when he completed the program. And prior to the program, he had never exercised. So I feel like those are the standout experiences, is when we do see lifestyle changes made and continue on.
They stick.
And they stick, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one of the things that I didn't think about with cardiac rehab that I found really amazing is the social connection that people make. Like, they come in and they don't want to talk to anybody at first, and then they're like all best friends. And then if they bring a caregiver, like, the caregivers are sitting kind of in the waiting area, and then they become friends. Like, I saw 2 women talking today, and they were just connecting just so hard. And it was just like so great that like they have the support of each other, the patients have the support, and it's just really cool.
So my other favorite thing about pulmonary rehab is just seeing patients breathe better. that is super satisfying. One of our patients can walk to his mailbox now easier. So that is, that is one of, I think we get a real big kick out of seeing these patients just improve, and they're able to do their day-to-day lives much easier.
Not needing nearly as much oxygen is a huge win. We love that too.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really great to hear those experiences, and it's amazing what you all do for the community. It's really, really awesome. Before we finish up, is there anything else that any of you would like to share with people, whether it's about you or about your department?
Don't be afraid to exercise. We're there to help you through it. Don't be afraid because you're on oxygen, or because you become too short of breath, or because you may feel like you're too out of shape. Don't be afraid. We'll get you there. Just show up.
And if you don't have one of the diagnoses that you need to get into the program, you can get a clearance through your doctor on whether or not you're safe to exercise. And like Destiny was saying earlier, you just need to move, because once you stop, everything just starts to slow down and people start to hurt more physically. So mental health starts to decrease.
Walking is exercise.
Yes.
You don't even have to go fast. Start at whatever pace you can go. And eat a Mediterranean diet. Rich in fruits and vegetables,
There we
beans, whole grains, lean protein.
Drink water. Well, geez, now I feel like there's so much we could have said.
I'm sure we could go on for
I know.
hours and hours
Yeah.
and hours about ways to be healthy. But that's why we
Right.
have the podcast, and that's why
Right.
we have many
Yeah.
episodes. So we might have to have you guys back on sometime in the future and
Okay.
maybe get into the nitty-gritty of different things we could be doing to get ourselves healthier.
Well, thank you all for joining us for the podcast. It's been great to talk to all of you. And to the listeners, thanks for joining us today. This has been an episode of Hands on Health, brought to you by Columbia Memorial Hospital in Astoria, Oregon. CMH is an independent, not-for-profit health system that provides comprehensive, person-centered care in Northwest Oregon.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts, online at columbiamemorial.org, and on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening. We hope you'll join us next time for another episode of Hands on Health.